if we're connected on a high-speed network, right, I don't really need you to pitch me something, because I can always find out about interesting stuff that interests me actually on the fly, right? So if I'm in a subway and I have an inspiration to look at the car, I can probably do so just by clicking on something, right? So I don't need an ad running by me on the sidewalk or something. That's basically just an ad for everyone. Right? So that means complete customization and personalization of the advertising, which means in many ways we don't really need disruption. And at least half of the entire advertising business was based on disruption. Sort of hammering stuff home. Right? And if you look what's happening in television, that's clearly going to be a big problem for television because it's all the watering can. Right? So basically that means because we're now connected, we have to rethink what it actually means to do marketing, which is more like matchmaking. Well, it always has been, ideally, but in general it was more about saying, you should buy this, even if you don't need it. Yeah, I mean, if we look at the media landscape, starting with music and then films, television, it's complete disruption by the fact that the user has access to all these possibilities now, right? So in music, that has led to demise of the CD, and download didn't quite catch up with the same volume, so now the music business is 65% less transactions, right? So it's basically, we're seeing the same in marketing, is that the shift of how people behave means that we have to adopt the model that we use to reach them. So that's basically happening in media first, and then marketing is now second. Hopefully not to the same result, but we'll have to change the means of distribution of marketing. So for example, if you look at social media, that is a new means of marketing, right? A new channel. So it's very much like media. We have to just adopt and basically find a new way to distribute the message, just like we distribute the media. Hopefully in a bit of a smarter way than most of the media companies, which have been largely resorting to keeping it away. Right? Of course, in marketing, that's not an option. But basically what's happening is that the value of what users do on the web, the footprint, that the clickstream, as we call the clickstream, the cookies of forwarding, the likes and the forwarding activities of videos and so on, that's creating a huge amount of data. The more we are connected, the more data we make. Location services and recommendations and ratings and so on. So that data becomes extremely valuable because we can be found with it and we can share stuff with it, but it's also our data, right? So now the data becomes more important in many ways than the actual content. For example, the rating of the movie in the aggregate has equal value to the actual movie for a lot of people. Like Netflix, people will stay on Netflix because they are a subscriber with their friends who publish their playlist, not because they can get the movies on Netflix. Right? So the data is very powerful, and for marketers that means because users know that their data is powerful, right, it becomes just like oil. So there's lots of conflicts around the, how do you get the oil, who gets to mine it, who owns it, how do we use it, is there a natural disaster like with oil? So with Facebook we have data disasters, that they have to address that. So it's very much the same thing. I think the future is going to be a data economy, driven by how much people share and how much we get to use it, and that's literally trillions of dollars, probably more than oil. The old view of content is that I make the content, I own the content, you buy it, right? Now the view is I make it, I own it, I distribute it, but you're also contributing as a user. So the equation is different, right? So I have to give you something to help me market it or to spread it, right? So that means the price is probably lower, but also the user has more power in the overall system. It's also more fragmented. Well, it's simple. I mean, if I'm going to be disrupted, for example, on the mobile phone or the iPad or Android or whatever I use, I won't stand for disruption that's meaningless. So I'm going down the street, I get a coupon from a baby store or something. It's meaningless to me. But if I get a coupon because I'm walking by an Audi shop and they say, okay, the next test drive, it's 100 quid or so, then it's meaningful because I want to buy a car. So that basically means that the disruption becomes engagement. Right? So therefore, that's a huge shift in how people react to the marketing environment, and that will require quite a bit of fine-tuning. So that means basically, as I'm looking at ads, the ads will be just like content, valuable. So for example, if the mobile browser knows that you're looking for a cruise ship trip, right, then whoever gets to match you with a video about a cruise or a game can probably collect 100 quid for the lead if I click through. And so that kind of money will be much bigger than any CPM or any sort of marketing that we've seen in the past. Right? Already is. So Google is working hard on this with AdMob, of course, and Apple with iAd, and Facebook with social. So you can expect that sort of click-through is very, very costly, but also very efficient. Well, basically, I think that the whole way that commerce has shaped up on the internet, we always thought that by yelling on the internet or by putting out messages, we could get more sales because people would hear us. But now it turns out that people have conversations, and as part of the conversation, they talk about a restaurant or a product, and that conversation is what gets the transaction. Right? Word of mouth is much more important than anything else. Right? So because of that, basically, if you're in the tribe and people like you, literally with a like button or whatever, they will be much more likely to talk about your product, recommend it to others. That's essentially the same as sitting in a coffee shop and saying, I got this new iPad or something and showing it to people, so I'm endorsing it, right? And that's completely a tribal process. As Seth Godin is saying, that's basically what matters. Everything else will be much less important because I'm not part of the conversation. And if you want to be in the tribe, you can't piss off the other people in the tribe, right? So you've got to find a way to be part of it rather than owning all of it, right? So, and this is the sort of, the big broadcasters. They tend to be in the process of saying, we are the tribe and you are outside, you can watch. But now it's basically becoming more of a tribe that everybody has their own little tribes, in real life and on the web.